he also admitted, no, I really don't know what's going on at the top level. No answers there. No answers from the guy who was selling pharma trials. He said, if I ask my boss what we're actually selling, I'll lose my job, so I'm not going to ask. So that's two. A friend who's a surgeon in the UK who said, you know, there's this, there's that. I saw people dying of COVID in my first few shifts in the COVID department. And a lady came in after giving birth, and within a week or a day she was dead. He said something like that. That's in a blog article on my website. But even he, when I pushed for answers, I said, but how do you know they're actually telling you the truth? Whoever you're listening, right? You work in a hospital, fine, great. But surely you're not researching every single drug morning to night. You're actually in the hospital doing things. So someone's supplying you the drug. Someone's supplying you the guidelines. Who are these people? Are they telling the truth? And he said, you know, after a while, Zeph, I have to just trust I have to pick a few organizations to trust. There's always going to be lobbying going on. There's always going to be movement going on. I have to pick who I want to trust, whether that's a news outlet or a pharma company. And then I just give them my blanket trust and faith and hope. And that allows me to do my job on a daily basis. And I was like, okay. The next thing we know, the doctors come out and say, oh, they're in the ICU. And we're like, okay. And then the doctors say it might be COVID. I was like, what do you mean might be COVID? Is it COVID? Is it not COVID? Do we even know what COVID is? Why is that part breaking down? And if that is truly f***ing up the planet, you're causing it. Because as the authorities, you're not explaining to us what's exactly going on. Hey guys, this is Zephyr with Into the Cam episode 2. And today's topic, it kind of burst out of me. I just started a new job, so for 2 weeks I was away. I apologize for that. But today's topic, I can't hold it in any longer, and so I have to put this on YouTube, and there might be multiple videos because it is that kind of topic. Now, is COVID even real? I'm not sure, and I'm not here to offer any statements, not because I'm not an authority. I don't really believe in authority in that sort of fashion, but what I do believe in is knowledge, and I don't exactly have the knowledge to comment on that with certainty. And that's why the title of this video is a question, because I myself am looking for answers. So if you know anyone who has the answers, please send them here and let them type in the comments so they can educate us all, because so far I've gotten no answers on this topic other than really official looking sites like the WHO or the various governments on the planet in different countries. But some of you might be like, well, why don't you just listen to them? Well, for those of you who are a bit more educated, and by educated I don't mean you have fancy degrees and you went to good schools. I went to good schools, but I've realized after those schools that education is something else. And so I'm speaking to those of you who are more educated. You would know that there's a reason we don't just blanket trust anyone who seeks to exert power and control over another. Everyone, of course, may have their own reasons. My personal reasons for not believing someone who's coming from a place of control and power fully is that because I know, my inner knowing is that peaceful, happy, well-balanced people don't go around trying to control other human beings. There's something there. There's a bit of trauma there, maybe. My dad, who's also the head priest for Zoroastrianism in Singapore, would say that's greed. There's many ways to describe someone's need to control maybe a whole country, for example, or step into a position of power. Of course, there's the opposite side. There's many good people, and somebody might say like, hey, I stepped into politics to help the planet. You know, there's a million different possibilities. So to an educated mind, you just can't slap a generalization. That would be stupid, and I don't plan to be stupid. So but my personal hunch is that if somebody steps into politics and then seeks to oppress, that something's going on with that person psychologically. That's not the most balanced, most in tune with nature, most loving, most kind, most considerate, and most compassionate. It's hard to imagine that a person like that would want to step and oppress on other people. So I don't really believe that, and hence I would sometimes not really believe them, because you have to set a filter for yourself based on the direction you have set for your life. If you've not set one, then set one. You may find other good videos on my channel to help you do that. But once you've set a direction, then you have to set certain filters to know what's helping you in that direction. Whether that's letting go of certain friends, letting go of certain reading material, letting go of certain media, whatever, or introducing new media, new friends, new connections, whatever that might be in your life, whatever it might look like. Maybe you're trying to play in the Olympics, maybe you're trying to be the next president of the States or India or China, maybe you're trying to be a kind mother or father, maybe you're a house helper and you're trying to provide the best service you can, whatever you're trying to do, right? We have to set filters. Now, on to the main topic, is COVID even real? I personally don't know if it's real. This could be because I live in Singapore and the government has sheltered us from the disease really well. That's what many people in other countries are telling me. But there's also many people in other countries who tell me like, yo, your government would say something and you guys would just believe it because you don't really have a choice. It's a very strict system. In many cases, I wouldn't say that we have to believe something because that's still our internal thoughts. The government can't control your internal thoughts. But yes, there are many systems in place where if you want something, you do have to follow something. Like, for example, if you want to sleep a good night's sleep, I think there are laws in Singapore where you can't just sleep on the road. They would like pick you up and maybe help you out and send you to a center or a home if you're, homeless or jobless, which basically means, yeah, they would help you, but you can't sleep on the road. So you don't have that choice. If you like the road, you can't just sleep on the road. I'm just giving an example. I'm not sure if that's an actual law in Singapore, but there are certain laws like that. I'm sure there's certain things you can't do. And that's a system, right? That's not necessarily a belief or an understanding in my head. I might not really agree with a certain law or a system, but it's set in place where I would have to follow it. And right now, currently in Singapore, there are laws in place where if you're not vaccinated, 2 vaccinations for now, I think, but soon coming up to 3, you're not allowed into certain malls, certain spaces, gyms and all that, which for me is fine because if I don't want to get vaccinated, if I do want to get vaccinated, great, I get to access all this stuff. And if I don't want to get vaccinated, I get to live in nature because there's no rules against going out into the forests or doing push-ups on the grass or plucking fruit off the trees and eating. You can live a natural life still in Singapore if you want to, and I'm thankful for that because I like nature and I like holistic health and body transformation and all this stuff. And I was just talking to my wife about this, but there are certain laws, right? So we don't know what COVID is. Let me get into the main point. I realize I'm elaborating round and round, but I want to set a context for you of where I'm coming from. Now, I don't necessarily know if COVID is real because the media in Singapore has told me it's real, sure, but I haven't personally seen any case myself, except my dad, get COVID. Now, but let's break this down a bit. What is get COVID? He started coughing, had a flu, had a fever, something like that. But honestly, we've all had flus and fevers, maybe once a year kind of thing. For me, a bit less. So he said, oh, then I went to take the test just in case. And then he took the test and the test said positive. But honestly, who manufactured this test? What is inside the test? I don't know. You might know. You might be a scientist watching this going, hey, I know exactly what's inside that test. Okay, great. Please share it with us because for the common layman, we just don't know. There are no answers yet. I don't know what's inside that test. It could be a bogus test if there is foul play from some manufacturers. Again, I don't know. I'm just considering possibilities. And if you're neutral, you would consider possibilities too, versus just taking everything that's told to you as the gospel truth. And I have very strong reasons to not take everything that was told to me as the gospel truth. You can read more about that on my website about my story and how I dropped out from the system and how I'm still doing wonderfully well. Better than many people my age group in the system, more happy than them, more excited about life than them, more creative than them. And so I have very good reason to believe that the system is not always correct, especially for me. It might be different for you. Feel free to tweak it, to your life's best interests. So who came up with this test? I have no idea. What's inside this test? I have no idea. I have never used a test for any other sickness in my life and I've been just fine. In fact, I've been paid to help other people with their health and psychology. Just to give you a little bit of background about how good or how proficient I am in those areas. Other people, working adults, have come to me to pay me to help them with their health and psychology and healing and so on. So it's safe to say, generally speaking, that I know a thing or two about health. So just based on that background, I'm still not convinced that COVID is something. I have no access. I've tried to have access, but I have no access to anyone who's actually seen this virus, if that's even a possibility. I don't know how that works, but I have spoken to people who sell pharma trials. We have a friend who does that. I spoke to a friend who works in a very big pharma company, one of the 2 or 3 biggest rolling out these vaccines. And after I pushed him for an answer, first he started with a high and mighty attitude of, oh, if you're one of those 5% who doesn't believe science, you must be dumb, ha 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 ha. After we moved forward in the conversation past the insults and the bull, he also admitted, no, I really don't know what's going on at the top level. No answers there. No answers from the guy who was selling pharma trials. He said, if I ask my boss what we're actually selling, I'll lose my job, so I'm not going to ask. So that's 2. A friend who's a surgeon in the UK who said, there's this, there's that. I saw people dying of COVID in my first few shifts in the COVID department. A lady came in after giving birth, and within a week or a day she was dead. He said something like that. That's in a blog article on my website. But even he, when I pushed for answers, I said, but how do you know they're actually telling you the truth? Whoever you're listening, right? You work in a hospital, fine, great. But surely you're not researching every single drug morning to night. You're actually in the hospital doing things. So someone's supplying you the drug. Someone's supplying you the guidelines. Who are these people? Are they telling the truth? And he said, after a while, Zeph, I have to just trust I have to pick a few organizations to trust. There's always going to be lobbying going on. There's always going to be movement going on. I have to pick who I want to trust, whether that's a news outlet, a pharma company, and then I just give them my blanket trust and faith and hope. And that allows me to do my job on a daily basis. And I was like, okay, I understand that simplifying things in your head allows you to do your job, and that makes sense. That part makes sense to me. But the fact that the majority of the public is trusting doctors like this, who then trust organizations like this to give them the truth about what's going on, makes my educated brain go, why? Why? Like, if they know that the level of uncertainty and the percentage of uncertainty, and then they trust these people, and then they go, just like my friend who's the surgeon, and they go, I trust surgeons who are not fully certain, and I realize that would mean that I'm not fully certain, and I'm fine with that, then that's fine. Free will and all that, do what you like. But the general public insists. Often you see on Facebook comments, YouTube comments, when you start to bring up common sense, they insist like, oh, a doctor said this, so they must be right. Are you a doctor? That just sounds stupid to me at this point. Or uninformed, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm not saying stupid is bad necessarily. I, just like any other human, may have committed all sorts of stupidity in my life. And that's what we do as human beings. We act from the position we know, like what we know, and that's fine. I'm not saying that they should change that. Everyone's journey is their own. There are no shoulds. But I'm just saying, to me, when they say they're certain, I'm analyzing the situation. They're not actually certain. They're just hoping they're certain. Or they mistakenly think they're certain, because they're basing their trust on people who are uncertain themselves. So that doesn't make any sense to me. I wouldn't adopt that approach for thinking for myself. And I'm just sharing my journey here on this channel, as I've been told to do in my quantum healing. So I'm sharing it. That was 3 people I spoke to. There's a 4th, a lady who works in one of the armies of a big country as a doctor. She's one of my best friend's wives, and I was hoping when we sat down with them, even they could provide some answers for us, because you're a doctor, I'm a musician, entertainer, healer, coach, more on the alternative side of things, although it does result in good life transformations. But still, I was hoping that since the pharma companies and governments are mandating this, you, being one step closer to them than me, could give me some answers. She couldn't. She's like, this is how a virus works, the vaccine stuff is amazing, this is the way it's supposed to. So I asked her a simple question, like, she was sold on the idea, and I was like, okay, great, now please sell me, because I'd also like to follow the best possible path for my family. So if it is the vaccines, please tell me why it is. And I was like, how do you know? I just asked a simple question, how do you know? And she said, we learned this. I was like, learned this where? Just like in school, in our degree. This is what we learn. This is what we practice. And I'm just wondering, this stuff that these doctors learn, and I'm saying these doctors, and of course that could encompass like millions of doctors. So it is a generalization. So apply your own filter there. Any doctor who claims to know, but they just read something in a textbook, and that's all they read about it. They didn't research further. They didn't do their own experiments. How do they know that this stuff is true? I'm just wondering. I'm wondering because this is the way I experiment with my ventures, like music, life coaching, body transformations. I research stuff for 10 to 15 years first, try various things, get results, and then go based on those results to then put them into other people's lives. And if I'm new at something, I let people know, hey, thanks so much for approaching me for this topic. I have only 2 years experience in this topic. This is what I've learned and found out. If that sounds like something you'd like to learn from me, I can teach you or coach you or whatever the scenario might be. But I'm honest with them. Like, hey, this stuff, I've got 2 years of experience. This stuff, 15 years. This stuff, 35 years. You can pick what you want to consult with me for. I'm honest. I don't lie. I don't pretend. And sure, as every human being, there might be certain things I may think I know, but I may not actually know. And that's, just normal human error and ignorance. But I'm open about that. I'm telling you that right now on my YouTube channel. I'm not hiding this on some little tiny text somewhere under my service agreement. I'm saying it openly in public on YouTube. Can't get any more public on that. It's the second biggest search engine on the planet. But there are many people and doctors and public and down the chain. Everyone thinks they know this. Then they go around adamantly, I know this, I know. But do you actually know it? Do you actually know what COVID even is? We had friends, family members, close friends who went to India, said, oh, I went there to visit my parents or my aunts or my uncles. Some of them died. We had a friend whose family members, 3 or 4 of them died in a span of 2-3 weeks or a month or two. And when they came back on the WhatsApp group, I texted them and I started texting them things about COVID, about whether it might or might not be true. And they were like, oh, that's insensitive. That's blah, blah, blah. Fair enough. I don't know. To me, that wasn't insensitive because if my family member died, I'd like to know how they died and why they died. But these people apparently didn't want to know. So, okay, maybe the grief was too much. Maybe they're a different kind of human. That's completely fine. I love all kinds of humans. But eventually, once the topic subsided, once the emotions subsided, when they came back to Singapore, I asked them, I said, what happened? Well, they said, oh, my family members went in for a cold or a pneumonia type thing. The next thing we know, the doctors come out and say, oh, they're in the ICU. And we're like, okay. And then the doctors say it might be COVID. I was like, what do you mean might be COVID? Is it COVID? Is it not COVID? Do we even know what COVID is? Why is that part breaking down? Each time it comes to identifying something, the doctors go, maybe. And then they were like, I don't know, man. They said maybe. And what can we do? We can't march into the CPU. I think it's against the ICU. I think it's against the law or something. I was like, yeah, man, now I feel your pain. So they just waited there. The doctors told them it might be COVID. After a few hours or a few days, the doctors come out and go, there's nothing we could do. Your family member died from COVID. I was like, wait. They said it might be COVID. Now it was COVID. How did they... Is there any explanation given to you as to how they deduced that? No explanation given. And I think I can't remember now because it's been a crazy 2 years, but one of these friends in this group of friends, or one of their friends, said that the same procedure followed, and then the doctors or the nearby, there was a crematorium or something, they came back with the ashes and said, here are your family members' ashes. They died of COVID. I was mind blown. I was like, what the is going on? That sounds like murder. To me, that sounds like murder. Maybe because I love my family member and I'm attached to them and all that. Sure, I get it. Of course, on the other side of the curtain or the ward, there could be a very real thing going on. Doctors all trying to do their best. I'm not saying they're not. I have no way of knowing whether they're not or they are. I wasn't in there. But let's just assume they are for a second. But if they themselves come out saying it might be COVID, like the doctors don't know, the newspapers don't know, the governments don't know, nobody knows. So who the knows then? Is there a person who we can believe or a organization that we can believe today, who can, there's so many exhibitions all over the planet. Learn about dinosaurs, learn about fossils, learn about coffee, learn about this, learn about plants. Why can there not be an exhibition or a valid and earnest organization going, learn about COVID? Here, this is what it is. This is the thing. You can play with it, you can experiment with it. Maybe a 3D model, maybe it's contagious, it'll kill you, gotcha. Something, right? Something so the public knows, hey, these f***ers aren't lying to us. We would like to know. We would like to believe you. We want, human nature is to connect and be together and support each other. But we can't do that if you don't give us a reason to. So the planet is split down the middle. Half the people are like, we can't believe these f***ing people. And the other half, who might be trying to do the right thing, go like, these f***ers don't believe us. So the planet is what I'm seeing this from a third. Luckily, I'm neutral enough to see it from a third person's perspective, because I've always been a neutral person. I'm also a priest, a healer, a life coach. And that's just who I am. I view things neutrally. I view it from the outside and I go, how do we improve this? And that's why also in my roles at work, in the corporate roles, I'm always improving things. I'm always working on the systems in a startup, in a different startup, and helping them out. So how do we improve this? Does nobody understand that the world would suddenly unite if somebody in a position who knows what's actually going on can come out and explain it versus screaming instructions? We found out COVID's real and deadly. Do this. Or we won't give you food. You can't go into malls. Humans aren't dumb. Humans aren't f***ing stupid. If you explain it kindly and you explain it in a systematic way, people might be more inclined to believe you. Educated people. I'm from the top schools in Singapore. Singapore is one of the most educated nations. I'm in maybe the higher middle class or socioeconomic higher middle class of one of the most cosmopolitan and educated countries in the world. I am sort of an example of the educated population. I'm not saying that with arrogance. I'm saying that as statistics and data. Now, if people like me even can't be aware of what's going on, and this is a message to any authorities, don't you think you have a problem on your hands? If you're trying to help the world, why would you not first convince the educated people or explain to them, here's what the problem is. Now let's go talk to the other people who don't understand English, who may not be so intelligent. I don't know. I have a big phobia about this word intelligent. Not a phobia, but my doubts, because in today's society, anyone can be awakened, anyone can be wise, anyone can be smart. I completely don't support segregation of the society. I'm just using that word so the majority of the audience, the way it's conditioned on planet Earth right now, would understand what I'm saying. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. So why can't we come up with an explanation or a system to explain to, instead of having the most educated people on the planet debating like nincompoops, me included, why can't you just explain to us what's actually going on? Unless you're hiding. Why are you hiding? If you hide and you run away and you don't explain to us, then you have on your hands, I wouldn't say uprisings, because everything's very well controlled nowadays, right? The people in power control the jails, the weapons, the food, the water supply, everything, right? So there's probably not going to be an uprising. But you have a lot of bad sentiment going on towards you internally. Confusion, a lot of hate, a lot of just really confusion. So if you're claiming to be like whoever, I don't know exactly who these organizations are or what they want, but if they claim to be helping the planet, I keep saying World Health Organization in different places, United Nations, governments, right? These are just words and phrases I've picked up in the media here and there growing up in Singapore. These are things I see on posters, on the news, on, just words. If these organizations, maybe if they are the ones that I'm referring to correctly, want to help the planet, why don't you first start by fixing people's mindset? In the business world and on LinkedIn, we know this. Mindset is everything. So why don't you first explain to intellectual people, anyone who understands common sense here, I'm referring to as an intellectual person, anyone, any level of education who understands basic common sense. why don't you first explain to us, what's actually going on the planet? When you do that, I think you can have 1 million to, I don't know what the exact number is of people with common sense, but let's just assume 1/5 of the planet. So you can have about 1.2 or 1.5 billion people as extra pairs of arms, legs, brains, and 5 senses and 6 senses for those of us who listen to our spirit, going out and helping you explain to the rest of the people what's actually going on. But if you cut off this intellectual group and don't explain to them and start to cause confusion through your media, the more intellectual ones or the more discerning ones or the more neutral ones like myself have no actual reason to believe or trust anything other than my own survival. I have no reason to trust you, because for intellectual people, we think a bit differently. For neutral people, for discerning people, we don't just think of you as God. We think of ourselves as equally intelligent. So when you say like, you must do this, we also think in our head, why? We have brains, we can think. If we feel like putting an injection into our body is not going to help us, we won't put it in. And if that is truly f***ing up the planet, you're causing it. Because as the authorities, you're not explaining to us what's exactly going on. No. Slapping it across the newspaper and on fines and on laws, it's like dealing with animals, no offense to animals, it's dealing with animals who are a bit less intelligent. We're not dumb animals. And I love animals. And I'm referring to dumb in the sense of intelligence. And I'm referring to intelligence in the sense of intellect as a cutting tool, which Sadhguru describes. I'm not referring to consciousness. So I think animals have a bit less, right? Or maybe they have less capabilities, whatever. I'm not trying to be oppressive towards animals. But we can control them, basically. So if you think you're going to control us by that method, it's not going to work. It's just not. Yeah, you can put certain restrictions, sure. If that's your method of control and you're happy with it, great. Don't let us go into malls. Fine. I don't know what end you're trying to achieve. Good for you. But the rest of us are going to be wondering, what the f*** is going on? Can somebody with a brain explain? For me, a person from the Singapore school system who went to the top schools, who's reasonably intelligent, has a reasonably good resume, I've asked around and I cannot get any doctors or scientists to answer these questions. What is COVID? Do the vaccines actually work? Which organizations can I actually trust for news? Nobody has any answers. And if you're telling me, oh, you're not roaming in that intelligent in circles that are that intelligent, there are way more intelligent circles, then can these way more intelligent people please come out and talk to the public and tell us what the is going on? Because nobody knows. Now, there are conspiracy theories which will say that's their plan. It's to confuse everyone, because that causes, what's the word? The opposite of congruence, disorientedness in your system, in your atoms, in your molecules. That's their plan, to keep you dumb, to keep you vibing low, to keep your immunity low. I am, honestly, half of my brain is believing that. Because what else could it be? How could the authorities be so dumb as to not explain to the public on purpose? You control all the media, you control all the cities, you control all the food supply and the water. You could just explain to us in a 1-hour lecture, a worldwide lecture, if you wanted to. No such lecture has taken place. If I was ruling the planet and I wanted to explain something to people, I would be like, everybody shut the f*** up and sit at home. I'm providing you $2,000 for this month. Shut up, buy your food, sit at home, and I'm going to educate you on a month about what COVID actually is. None of that has happened. So it could lead me to the conclusion, and other people to the conclusion, that maybe they don't want to tell us that. And if you're an authority listening to this, I'm genuinely asking you, why are you not explaining to the public what is going on? Do you actually want to solve this disease? Is there even a disease? I have, as an educated human being, I have no way of knowing. I still don't know to this day what COVID is, if it's real, if anyone has actually died of COVID, and has anyone proven that? Yeah, I know that in some hospitals, like my surgeon friend who I spoke about at the start of this video said, people came in and they all died in a second. Not a second, that's figuratively, but in a couple of hours, in a few weeks, we had to put people on their front, he said. We couldn't lay them on their back. He said it actually took out the right bottom part of his lung, or left bottom, one of the two. I was like, yeah, but how do you know that that's COVID? We don't know. I don't know. Do you know? I asked him, do you know? He's like, After a while, mate, which is what I said at the start of this video, I just decide which organizations to trust, and that helps me do my job. That's not an answer. That's not a answer. That's as good as a arranged marriage in India, which I'm against. Sorry. If it's done in an oppressive way, I'm against it. If it's done in a joyful way and somehow everyone's happy, great. Everyone chose that life path, good for them. Their sole mission is to be in an arranged marriage, good for you. Nothing against you. Blessings, and hope you have a good life ahead. But it's as good as an oppressive arranged marriage. Like, no, you will marry this person and you guys will have sex, even though you don't like the smell of each other's bodies, and you will produce kids because we're your parents and we said so. Guys, that, all right? That, just straight up that. I don't understand why this is happening on the planet. I don't understand what COVID is. I've given you firsthand what doctors and surgeons have told me. Also, my healer added on to this, and she's from California. And my healer in Cali said, everything is designed to wake humanity up. It's a soul mission, it's a soul lesson, it's part of, you know, and she also mentioned that in this whole universe, Earth is just one small planet. There's loads of other shit going on other planets. And I believe her, because my astral and my other realm body and energy completely believes that and knows that more than believes. Believes is a very, I don't know, it's a word I use. It sort of puts you in the back seat, not the driver's seat. You say, do you believe something? It's like, oh, I'm discovering more, but I haven't discovered it yet. So I don't like to use that word. I know it. I know certain things. I channel for clients. I get info from other realms and so on. And she said, all this is designed to wake humanity up. Choose from what you know in your innermost soul to be true. And my innermost soul says, I don't want to be taking external chemicals. But at the same time, yes, I don't want other people to die. I do realize it's important to help each other, of course. As you can tell from all my socials and all my work, if you just do a Google search on my name and my website for 10 minutes, you'd understand what I'm saying. And so I'm puzzled. Is this real? Is it not real? If somebody who's come across this video and you can sense that I'm a genuine person, and you're like, hey, this guy is a genuine person and he has a lot of contacts, which I do, and I'd like to let them all know that it's real because blah, 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 or I've realized it's not real because of blah, 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 please comment, please send an email, something. We can share it with the world. If the authorities are not sharing it, we can share it. Maybe we can help the authorities. Maybe they're busy trying to save everyone. They have not realized that, hey, there's a lot of confusion on the ground. We should let people know. So if you're a good Samaritan, you're educated on the subject, please share it. We would love to know what exactly is going on. I would love to know, and I could share with a lot of people. So if you have some info, please come forward. My name is Zephyr. I run a few Facebook groups on Facebook to help people with music and life, and I post inspirational messages, I write quotes, I put out inspirational videos, I put out music. I'm a musician and recording artist. Soon I'm starting to create my own music videos, finally. It's been a journey in Singapore trying to earn money through art. It's another topic for another day. Why would you not want art in the country and support it better? So yeah, thanks so much for listening. I hope you resonate, and I hope you understand that I'm a genuine person and I'd like to see the best I can possibly see for everyone. Take care and have a good day ahead. I love you and thank you for watching, and bye-bye.